أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. In this video, inshallah, we will continue looking at lesson 5 in the Medina Arabic Book 1 class notes. And this is the last lesson in Book 1 of the Medina Arabic series. In part 1 of this lesson, we had looked at 2 of the topics covered in these notes. And they were the attached pronoun or ضمير متصل and the early predicate and late subject or خبر مقدم or مبتدأ مؤخر. Here inshallah in this video part 2 we will work through one more of these main topics and we'll be looking at the plural or the jam'un. We'll also briefly look at using the adjective the nahtun with the mudafun or mudafun ilayhi. We will cover the remaining 3 topics in a third part of this lesson, a third video, inshallah. So let's start, inshallah, with the plural or jam'un. Okay. So in Arabic, when there are 3 or more of a person or a thing, we use the plural form of the noun or the adjective. The noun and the adjective. In Arabic, unlike English, there is a dual form. So when there are 2 of a thing or person, we use the dual form. But if it is 3 or more, then we use the plural form. And there are 2 types of plural in Arabic, as there is in English. There is the sound plural, or the jam'un salimun, and there is the broken plural, or jam'un taksirun. Okay, so in English, the sound plural would be the same as adding an S at the end of a word, and the broken plural would be a word like mouse, which becomes mice in its plural form, or man becomes men. Okay, and we'll look at what this difference between sound and broken means in Arabic. So inshallah, we start with the sound plural or the jam'un salimun. And the jam'un salimun, the sound plural, are words that stay intact in the plural form. So for example, we've been given here on this page, mudarrisun, okay, and we can see that it's become mudarrisunna. Okay, so the word mudarris stays as a part of the word. When it becomes a plural, we're adding something at the end, but the word itself remains intact. So like I said, this in English is the same as adding an S at the end. In Arabic, the sound plural is the same. You add letters to the end of the word to make it a plural. And the sound plural in Arabic has 2 forms. There is a sound masculine plural, the jam'un mudhakkirun salimun, and there's a sound feminine plural, the jam'un mu'annithun salimun. Okay, so if we look at what these 2 different forms of the sound plural are, the masculine form has an unna ending. So in the example they've given us here, Muslimun has become Muslimunna. So we've added unna to the word Muslim. Okay. The singular form of the masculine word to become plural has unna added at the end. I will note at this point that it becomes ina if the word is in the mansubun or majrurun cases. Okay, so mansubun, the accusative case, is the case we associate with the fatha, and the majrurun, the genitive case, is the case we associate with the kasra. And in that case, the waw becomes a, okay, and it becomes ina. Um, if we now look at the sound feminine plural of a jam'un mu'annathun salimun, this plural form has an atun at the ending, so we add an alif and a ta to the end of the word. So, for example, we take the singular muslimatun and it becomes muslimatun, okay? When we turn it into the plural form. Okay, so this, like I said, is the equivalent in English where you just add an S to the end of the word to make it plural. Door becomes doors, okay? One door, three doors, okay? One Muslim, three Muslims, right? We add an S at the end. In Arabic, it's the same. If your noun is masculine, we're adding unna at the end. If your noun is feminine, we're adding atun at the end. If we look next at the broken plural, the jam'un taksirun, this is a plural where the singular word is broken. It's changed to make the plural form of the word. Okay, it does not stay whole. Like the sound plural does. So the sound plural, the word stays the same, we add something to the end. The broken plural, the word changes. It's broken, it's split. It does not stay as it was. Okay. We have some examples on the slide here. So we have the example of student. Talibun becomes tullabun. Qalamun becomes aqlamun. Okay. And in Arabic, the plural form, the broken plural forms are not an exception. They're extremely common. And there are many different patterns for the broken plural form. And this, inshallah, as you learn more Arabic, you'll become familiar with all the different patterns. There are many of them. We'll look at 8 today, inshallah, in this video. Unlike the sound plural, which has a fixed ending attached to the end of the word, depending on whether it is a masculine or feminine. Again, the broken plurals have many different patterns, okay? And we will look at examples of this as I mentioned. At this point, before we move on, I will note that some nouns in Arabic have multiple plural forms. For example, we can see the word akhun on the slide given as an example. And this has 2 correct plural forms, okay? So whichever one you used, you would be using the correct plural. It's not just got 1 plural, it's got 2 plural forms. So akhun in the plural, you can either say ikhwanu or you can say ikhwatun, okay? Ikhwanu or ikhwatun are both plural forms of the singular noun, akhun, brother, okay? Another example in Arabic of a noun that has more than 1 plural form is donkey, okay? And this can be himar, can become hamirun or humurun, okay? So this is something to be aware of, that in Arabic there are words that have more than 1 plural form that is correct. Okay. So inshallah, we will now look at the patterns of the broken plural, okay? And as I mentioned, There are many patterns for broken plurals in Arabic, and it is a very common thing to have. Alhamdulillah. It's a very common thing in Arabic to see broken plural forms of words. Okay, so don't assume that this is an exception and all words are sound plurals with some being broken plurals. No, it's very common for plurals to be broken. We will be looking only at 8 of the patterns today, but there are many more. At this stage for broken plurals, it is best to just memorize for each word you encounter. And inshallah, in later books, you will learn some more of the broken plural patterns and words that fit those patterns, inshallah. So we'll look at some of the examples. They are often mapped onto the letters fa'ala, okay? So this is kind of used as a key, a mapping for words in Arabic, and that's what we're going to use to look at the different patterns for broken plural forms. So if we start with fu'ulun, okay, fu'ulun, okay, and some examples of words that fit this broken plural pattern. The word kitabun, when it becomes a plural, becomes kutubun, okay, so it fits this fu'ulun pattern, kutubun, okay, we can map this word onto that, okay. It is a 3-letter word in its plural form with kutubun, okay, fu'ulun. The same is true for the word rasulun, which becomes rusulun in its plural form. Okay, so kitab, book, becomes kutubun, and rasul, prophet, becomes rusulun, prophets. Okay, pattern number 2, we have fu'ulun, okay, fu'ulun. Okay, and some examples of words that fit this pattern. Najmun, star, becomes nujumun, stars, and the word shaykhun becomes shuyukhun. Okay. Our third pattern, fu'alun. Okay, fu'alun, and examples of words that fit this pattern in their plural form. We have tajirun becomes tujjarun. Okay, so merchant, tajirun, becomes tujjarun, merchants. And talibun, student, becomes tullabun, students. Our fourth broken pattern, which we'll look at, fi'alun, and examples that fit this broken plural pattern. Jabalun becomes jibalun, so jabalun, mountain, becomes jibalun, mountains. And rajulun, man, becomes rijalun, men. Okay, and in its English form, that's also a broken plural. Man becomes men, rajulun becomes rijalun. Okay, so pattern number 5, af'ila'u. Okay, af'ila'u. So 2 examples of this broken plural pattern. Sadiqun, friend, becomes asdiqa'u, friends. And tabibun becomes atibba'u. Okay, atibba'u, atibba'u. And if we then look at pattern number 6, af'alun, and we have 2 examples here. Waladu becomes awladun, So boy becomes boys, and ammun becomes amamun. Okay, so uncle and uncles, paternal uncle and paternal uncles. Okay, so your uncle on your father's side. Pattern number 7. فعلاء, فعلاء. So we have زميل, colleague. زميل becomes زملاء, زملاء, colleagues. And فقير, poor person, becomes فقراء, poor people. And then pattern number 8, the last pattern we'll look at today. But as I said, there are many more in Arabic. We have فعلة, okay? فعلة. So our examples for this, أخ can become إخوة, إخوة. And فتاة, sorry, فتاة becomes فتيات, okay? فتيات. Before I move on from these patterns, just wanted to note that pattern number 5 and 7, which we looked at, they have stars next to them. And just to make a note that these are diptote plural forms. So when these words as plural in this form, that take this form, they are diptote. They are الممنوع من الصرف. And these ممنوع من الصرف diptotes, these words, that means they do not take tanween. And in the genitive case, a fatha is used instead of a kasra. We will discuss الممنوع من الصرف in more detail later in this video, but just to be aware that some plural forms will be diptotes. So a word in singular form might be a triptote, it might be a standard word, and then when it changes into one of these broken plural patterns, it becomes a diptote. It can no longer take a tanween, and the word will use a fatha instead of kasra in the genitive case. For example, if it follows a preposition, instead of using a kasra, you will then use a fatha. So if we look next at plural demonstrative pronouns, in the plural form, the demonstrative pronoun that we use is determined by whether a noun is عاقل or غير عاقل, غير عاقل, okay? As a reminder, and inshallah you will remember this topic from class or from an earlier video, the demonstrative pronoun or ism al-isharati is used when we are indicating, pointing to a specific thing or things, okay? And that's whether they're nearby or far away. So in English, we would say this chair or that house, this car and that car. These are demonstrative pronouns. And in the plural form, we would say these chairs, those houses, these cars and those cars, okay? And in Arabic, we also use demonstrative pronouns, and inshallah you will remember the singular form of the demonstrative pronoun, هذا and هذه, ذلك and تلك, okay? But let's quickly review these before we look at the plural demonstrative pronouns. So اسم الإشارة للقريب in the singular form. This we know is هذا or هذه. Okay. When the noun is masculine, مذكر, we say هذا. Okay. And when the noun is feminine, مؤنث, we say هذه. Okay. And اسم الإشارة للبعيد, the thing that is far away, in the singular form. So English would be that. We know that for masculine nouns, مذكر nouns, we say ذلك. And for feminine nouns, for مؤنث nouns, we use تلك. Okay, so that is the singular form of the demonstrative pronoun. And we can see that here in this table, okay, the top two rows. In the plural, which are the bottom two rows of this table, the jam'un, it doesn't matter whether your noun is feminine or masculine, okay? The demonstrative pronoun we use isn't determined on the basis of the gender of your noun, okay? When we decide which demonstrative pronoun to use in the plural form, what matters is if the noun is عاقل, so if it's a rational or human, okay, so if it's a rational noun, so if it's a human noun, or whether it's غير عاقل, so a non-rational, non-human noun, okay? So anything that's human is عاقل, عاقل, and anything that is not human is غير عاقل, okay? And that will determine which demonstrative pronoun you use in the plural form. So let's look at the table again. So if we look at the bottom half, the jam'un demonstrative pronouns. For those nouns which are human, the aqlun or rational nouns, for both the masculine and feminine nouns, the muzakkarun wa mu'annathun nouns, we use هؤلاء for the اسم الإشارة للقريب, okay, and أولئك for the اسم الإشارة للبعيد, okay. So هؤلاء and أولئك are the demonstrative pronouns we use for عاقل nouns, okay, for human nouns. Anything that is human is عاقل, it is rational. For non-human nouns, for غير عاقل, so anything that isn't human, non-human nouns, non-rational nouns, again, whether they are masculine or feminine, مذكر ومؤنث, okay, we use the feminine singular form of the demonstrative pronoun. So we use هذه for اسم الإشارة للقريب, and we use تلك for اسم الإشارة للبعيد. Okay, and that's because in Arabic, we treat non-rational, non-human nouns in their plural form as we would treat a feminine singular noun, okay? And this is a rule that applies to all their nouns with some exceptions. And you will learn these exceptions later, but for now, all non-human nouns are غير عاقل, okay? So to clarify this rule, inshallah, we will look at some example sentences. Okay, so our example number one sentence. This is a teacher. هذا مدرس. And This is a female teacher. هذه مدرسة. Okay. These are teachers. So it's the plural sentence. هؤلاء مدرسون. Okay. So these are all عاقل nouns. Okay. Teachers, they are human. So this is عاقل nouns. We look next at غير عاقل nouns. We have sentence number 1. This is a book. هذا كتاب. These are books, so plural. هذه كتب. Okay. So we can see here we've used هذه because this is a غير عاقل noun. So we treat it as if it was a feminine singular and use هذه. Okay. We don't use هؤلاء. We use هذه. So moving on, we're going to look at the treatment of عاقل nouns versus غير عاقل plurals. And again, as a reminder, all non-human nouns are غير عاقل. Okay. And in this table, we can see that for the first row, the عاقل nouns, then the rational human nouns, in the singular form, they are treated as you would treat that singular noun. Okay. And this is also true for the غير عاقل nouns. Okay. In the singular form, everything is standard treatment. Okay. But when it comes to the plural form, that's when things become more complicated. And that's what we're going to focus on. For the عقل noun in the plural, when it is a sound plural noun, you treat it as you would a sound plural noun. Okay. And where it is a مكسور noun, a broken plural noun, you treat it as a broken plural noun. Okay, جمع مكسور. And although this is generally the case, there are, of course, exceptions, and sometimes some broken plural nouns for rational human beings, they are treated in the feminine singular. So just to be aware of that. Like the non-rational, the غير عاقل plurals, this rule also sometimes applies to some عاقل nouns. But if we look at the غير عاقل nouns in the plural form, the جمع form, so a non-rational, non-human noun, so whether an animal, a plant, an object, these are all treated as a feminine singular noun when they are in their plural form. Okay, we treat them as if they are a مؤنث مفرد. Okay, and we'll look at some examples. And this is a lot to take in, so inshallah we'll look at some examples to help demonstrate this rule. So if we start with our عاقل nouns, and we have a sentence here using the noun طالب, student. Okay, and this is in the masculine form, and student is a broken plural in Arabic. So the sentence, this is a new student. هذا طالب جديد. Okay, and we can see here that the adjective matches the noun. Okay, they both have tanween because they're both indefinite. Okay, They're both in the singular form. They're both in the masculine form. If we look at the plural, these are new students. هؤلاء طلاب جدد. Okay, and we can see here we've used هؤلاء because this is a عاقل noun. We can see the broken form of the plural. طالب has become طلاب, that's a broken plural form. And then we have the plural of جديد, جدد. Okay, if we move next on to the example of a sound plural, teacher. Okay, مدرس. This is a new teacher. هذا مدرس جديد. And again, we can see that indefinite noun, indefinite adjective, masculine noun, masculine adjective, singular noun, singular adjective. In the plural, these are new teachers. هؤلاء مدرسون جدد. Okay, so again, we can see this is a sound plural, so مدرسون has become مدرسون. And new has taken the plural form جدد. So next, if we look at the غير عاقل examples. So we start off with the example of the book, and book is a غير عاقل noun because it is an object, it is not human, so it's non-rational. In the singular form, this is a new book. هذا كتاب جديد. And in the plural form, these are new books. هذه كتب جديدة. Okay, and this is the thing we need to note. So the plural كتب has been used, but the noun has been treated as a feminine singular. We are using هذه, okay, and the adjective to describe it, new, is the feminine singular form of the word جديد, جديدة. Okay, we're not saying جدد, and we're not saying جديد either. Okay, we're using the feminine singular جديدة. We know book is a masculine noun, but in the plural it is treated as a feminine noun. We know كتب is a plural form, but in the plural form, because it is not human, it is non-rational, it is غير عاقل, we are treating it as if it was a singular feminine noun. If we look at a singular, so if we look next at a feminine غير عاقل noun, so in this example, watch, we can see that in the singular form, this is a new watch. هذه ساعة جديدة. Okay, and then in the plural, these are new watches. هذه ساعات جديدة. So in the singular form, because it's a feminine noun, we're treating it as a feminine noun. In the plural, it's a feminine noun. So we're still treating it as a feminine noun, but we're treating it as a feminine singular noun. So finally, if we look at the last example, and this is a question that has غير عاقل nouns. Is the door of the house open? Yes, it is open. باب البيت مفتوح. نعم هو مفتوح. Okay, so this is the singular form of the noun. Okay, if we look at it in the plural form, are the doors of the house open? Yes, they are open. أبواب البيت مفتوحة. نعم هي مفتوحة. Okay, so we can see here, even though we're talking about multiple doors, we're using singular singular forms of the adjective, but we're also using feminine forms of this adjective, even though bab, door is a masculine noun, okay? Abu abu, okay? We're saying these doors are open, but we're using the feminine singular form, مفتوحة, okay? Also, earlier when we said it is open, we used huwa, the masculine singular, because we were talking about one door, and we know bab is a masculine noun. But in the plural form, like I said, we treat it as if it is a feminine singular noun, even though it is a masculine plural noun. So we're saying here, the feminine singular pronoun here. So those are some examples of the treatment of عاقل versus غير عاقل nouns in the plural. And with that, we will finish our discussion of plural forms. Okay, so inshallah, briefly, before we move on to our next main topic for this video, I want to look very briefly at using the na'tun, the adjective, for the mudafun wa mudafun ilayhi, the possessor possessed phrases. So inshallah, we're just going to look at a couple of key points around this topic. As you can see on the slide, there are two similar sentences, although they are slightly different, with the possessor described in the first one and the possessed described in the second sentence. Inshallah. So we're going to take a closer look at those two sentences and see how the na'tun is treated in each of those. So let's start with sentence one. And in this sentence, the description we're given is of the mudafun ilayhi, the possessor, and in this case, that is the teacher. So our sentence, the new teacher's book, okay? So the teacher possesses the book belongs to the teacher, and we are told that the teacher is new. So let's look at this sentence in Arabic. كتاب المدرس الجديد كتاب المدرس الجديد. Okay, where كتاب is our mudafun, that's the thing that is possessed, and المدرس is our mudafun ilayhi, and it's also our man'utun. Okay, our man'utun, it's the thing being described, and our na'tun is al-jadidi. Okay, we are describing the teacher. In the second sentence, the book, the possessed, the mudafun, is being described as new. Okay, so rather than the teacher, the possessor, in this sentence, the possessed, the book, is what is being described as new. So let's look at this sentence in Arabic. كتاب المدرس الجديد. Okay, كتاب المدرس الجديد. Okay, so here we can see that the mudafun, the kitabu, is now also the man'utun, the thing being described. Okay, and al-mudarrisi is still our mudafun ilayhi, still the possessor. The book belongs to the teacher, and the na'tun is still al-jadidu. Okay, there are some differences in Arabic that indicate to us that we are describing either the mudafun of a mudafun ilayhi. In English, this is demonstrated by the adjective moving to in front of the thing it's describing. But in Arabic, when we have a mudafun or mudafun ilayhi sentence phrase, we show the description belonging to either one or the other in a different way. So let's look at how we can tell this. So the mudafun and mudafun ilayhi always come together. So the na'tun for either one of them must come after the mudafun ilayhi. So in English, you tend to put the adjective before the thing you're describing. In Arabic, the adjective comes afterwards. But because the mudafun and mudafun ilayhi must come together, the adjective then comes after both, regardless of whether you're describing the mudafun or the mudafun ilayhi. Okay, it just comes after both of them. So then it's important to ask, how do we know which one we're describing? Okay, well, the case ending of the na'tun tells us if it is for the mudafun or the mudafun ilayhi. Okay, so we can see in the first sentence where we're describing mudafun ilayhi, the teacher, we know that a mudafun ilayhi is always majrurun, and we can see here that the na'tun is also majrurun. It also ends in a kasra. For the other sentence, because our mudafun has ended in a dhamma, our na'tun, which is describing the mudafun, is also ending in a dhamma. Okay, so that's how you can tell what you're describing in the mudafun ilayhi phrase when you use a na'tun with them. It's worth noting the mudafun is definite if it's mudafun ilayhi is definite, and the na'tun must also be definite too. Okay, so we know the adjective has to match the thing that it is describing. So we can see here we have al-mudarrisi and therefore al-jadidi. Okay, and the teacher's new book is a specific book, and that's why it's definite. And kitabu, even though it doesn't have al in, because we know with the mudafun, even if it's definite, we don't use al. Even if it's indefinite, we don't use tanween. We don't use al or tanween with the mudafun. But because we can see that it's al jadidu and that the mudafun ilayhi al mudarris is also definite, we know that our mudafun is definite. Okay, so alhamdulillah, we will end this video here and continue lesson 5 in part 3 of the video, where we will look at the remaining main topics of the numbers, the adadun, the diptotes, al-mamnu' min as-sarfi, and finally the types of news, anwa' al-khabr. Jazakallah khairan for joining me. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.